Why are there so many songs about rainbows? Well, that depends on what you mean by a rainbow. Now, we need to interrogate what is really being smuggled into this so called rainbow, because I find it highly suspect that a multicolored atmospheric phenomenon has been so uncritically associated with hope, unity, and emotional uplift. First of all, we must consider the archetypical implications. A rainbow appears after chaos, after the storm. But why is it assumed that what follows chaos is benevolent? That is an extraordinarily naive metaphysical assumption. In many mythological traditions, what follows chaos is simply more chaos wearing a different mask. And furthermore, this so-called connection implied by the phrase is dangerously vague. Connection to what? To whom? Under what moral conditions? You cannot simply declare connection as an unqualified good. That is precisely the kind of undifferentiated emotional thinking that leads civilizations into catastrophic overreach. The rainbow, if anything, is a kind of, epistemological test. It tempts you into believing that harmony is natural, that reconciliation is guaranteed. But that is not what the world shows us. The world shows us suffering structured by necessity, punctuated only occasionally by patterns we are not competent to interpret responsibly. So I would argue that before we go around singing about mystical multicolored bridges in the sky, we ought to ask whether such imagery is stabilizing human beings or subtly destabilizing them by encouraging premature integration of forces that ought, in fact, to remain in productive tension. And I haven't even begun to discuss the neurochemical implications of spontaneous aesthetic art.